Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show with my co-host, the one and only Brand for Success, Yolanda Smith. What's up, girl?
Hey, Dre, how are you? Woohoo! Glad to be here.
You know, today's episode is going to be really good because, you know, I started a new endeavor called iambeastNetwork, which is a whole bunch of great podcasts that's in conjunction with Jason over there, and today is going to be there goes Jason, my boy, everybody. The man behind the mix and all that kind of stuff.
Let me get my graphic up on the screen.
Yeah, get your graphic.
Yeah.
You keep
Look at that.
Hey, where's some graphics at? So, what I was saying is, I'm putting together a new collaboration of great podcasts under the Andre The Beast Network. Some of those are, go ahead, Jan, tell them what it is.
Well, we have 4th and 22 with host Marcus Dupree.
Whoa.
Walk Me Through This with Deborah Riley.
Holy smokes.
We are raising...
Walk me through that, isn't it?
Walk me through that. Don't mess that up because she'll get upset.
Walk me through that. I am so sorry. Let's walk through it, whatever it is.
Walk me through that. That's her question.
Yes, walk me through that. Raising the Bar with Paul Jefferson, and The Badge with Andre Ewing and Rashid Lightfoot. And then we have the Kimberly Lacey Lightfoot Show.
Great show.
Yes, yes.
But,
and go ahead.
But we got one more that we add into this, and I've been on her show. If it wasn't for this young lady, she's also a client of mine. I don't say was. She's a client of mine because once you become a client of mine, you're just like family.
Oh, so am I a client?
We'll talk about that later.
What the heck?
You're something more than a client. You're very special. You're my co-host. You're my right hand. I can't steer the car without you, dog.
Gotcha.
So, with that said, it was this lady that brought podcast to my attention. I actually came in with her as a frequent guest on her podcast, which we'll talk about in a minute. And it led me to Jason to where we're at now, to the Andre The Beast Network, to having you as my co-host because you was on my show.
Yes.
And I got to really thank her, and I thought today, what better way to thank this individual but to bring her in our family under the Andre The Beast Network and really help to promote her show and promote all the great things that Jason's doing as well. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the Andre The Beast Crayton Show my girl, the host and the creator of the show EmoZen, the one and only Krista Anderson. Krista, welcome to the show, baby girl.
Thank you. That was such a nice intro.
Couldn't do it
You
any other
guys
way.
have such a good vibe there. I already said that, but I wanted everyone to hear that.
Thank you. So, Krista, tell the audience, I know they know about you if they watch your show. It's a great show. Thanks for having me on there. Thanks for bringing Jason into my life. I believe that things happen for a reason, and when you do this, the EmoZen begins to manifest itself. Did I say that right?
The way you pronounce it, it sounds like the electronic version of EmoZen.
It's EmoZen.
EmoZen.
One word.
EmoZen.
Okay.
It's one word. EmoZen.
So tell the audience a little bit about you before we get into a little bit about the podcast in general and why people should watch it.
All right. Well, first and foremost, my day job is a licensed marriage and family therapist. I also do meditation coaching, and I'm a biofeedback coach as well. And I really love my job. You know, when you have those days where you're like, I think I'm going to call in sick. I always look at my calendar to see who's on my calendar, and it motivates me to get my lazy butt out of bed.
It's funny you say that. We just had a guest on here, and that was one of the topics we addressed is people just getting up, going
through the motions.
But you love your job. You don't hear that from people that say, I love my job. I love getting up in the morning.
And I love working with people that want to do the work. I've gotten to a point, I kind of work like you do. Like you'll get results if you listen to me.
Right.
But the biggest question I have that is presented to me as a therapist is, well, but what do you do in the minute? in a minute when I'm about to snap. I said, well, that tells me you're not doing the work.
Because you wouldn't snap in the minute if you was doing the work.
Exactly, 100%. So, and there's no blame or shame in that. Like, facts are facts. They're not hostile. They're not friendly. If I didn't like donuts so much, my belly would go away. I mean, that's just how it works, right? Mm-hmm. But when you find your flow, you've got to find out what your big why is. And I think my biggest niche, I don't know that I would call it niche necessarily. My difference between me and all of the other therapists is I'm about as real as they get. I will be appropriately transparent. And I think if more therapists were appropriately transparent, that
get better results.
You get better results.
Explain that real quick to the viewers. Like, what is your definition of transparency as it relates to a therapist and a client?
I'll give you a perfect example. Some of you may or may not have heard of a modality called DBT. It's called dialectical behavioral therapy. And it is the classic modality to be used for people diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Well, nobody knew who created it until finally people started to get authentic. And guess who created it? The therapist that had borderline personality disorder. And I personally think that if she would have been able to tell that truth, right, she would have been able to be, I've never met her personally. In my experience as a therapist, that's what I'm saying. I think when you can be more honest and say, I get it. I didn't just read it in a book. I really get it. For instance,
because I lived it.
I lived it, yeah. Because 25 years ago, I attempted suicide. I was resuscitated in ICU. And I promised my children that I would never, ever again leave them. I would heal this depression, and I will never abandon them. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life showing them how much I love them.
Did it take that particular incident to make you really say, I need some help to address what I was having, or did you really know what you was having?
I wasn't talking here's the thing about suicide. The more you talk about suicide, the more the desire for suicide goes away. Okay, so that it's false for people to say, oh, you don't talk about it. Oh, no. You're going to talk to me about it. How are you going to do it? What are you going to do with it? How's it going to happen? Who's going to clean it up afterwards? I mean, that kind of stuff.
Because then it doesn't become that little sneaky secret that you've got.
But people, I had a plan, I had a means, I had the intent, and I told no one, not even my therapist.
So you were serious.
I was serious. I was dying. Yes.
Then why go to the therapist if you already was having the plan of action? Was you looking for the therapist to save you, or or did you feel like the therapist should have recognized your signs before those manifested in your head, or while they was manifesting, that therapist should have recognized what was going on with you?
The answer to that is I read a book when I was in the stress center. And it was by Dr. Dan Siegel. He is a neuroscientist researcher at UCLA. He's internationally known, really good at what he does. And he has a gift for speaking really hard concepts about the brain to lay people and making them understand.
So humanizing the information so that it's
And I read that book and I was like, damn it, I got this. And I was admitted to grad school while I was in the hospital.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, we really wanted to know the story, but we kind of went off in an interesting way.
So there's a fast forward to that, but that's how this started. That's how I became a therapist. That's not how EmoZen developed.
Right.
But that's how I became a therapist.
So when you talked about, though, from a therapist standpoint, being more transparent, I mean, to me, it's almost saying, like, if the shit stinks, say it stinks, and don't sugarcoat it. Don't try to keep people happy so they
I want you to repeat that loudly.
Say it again.
Say it again. Say that again.
Well, if the shit stinks, tell them the shit stinks instead of trying to sugarcoat it. Because I think sometimes, and I know this is hard to say,
not today.
Not today. But what's sometimes hard to say is, I don't want them to dislike me so they won't come back.
I also think a lot of therapists are afraid of getting sued.
So there's that
fine line between what you
because
really...
we are taught to not let them know anything about us.
Really?
And I'm not trying to degrade my profession. I love being a therapist.
Yeah, no.
I really do.
But I would be more inclined, now this is the truth, I would be more inclined to really receive services from you if I felt like you have gone through what I'm going through and you were able to overcome, which is why as a branding expert, I have a lot of clients that believe in me because I had to go through some shit.
Right.
But I showed that through the power of your personal brand, you can come back. And I did. So to me, see, that's almost like you go to these addiction places, and most of the counselors have probably suffered. Well, some of them have, though. And those that have, you can say, okay, they can relate
they'll
to
tell
me.
You. And they'll tell you they have, too.
I mean, it becomes more relatable because at the end of the day, it's about that connection. I've got to trust you, believe you, to want to really.
You don't have to. But see,
Well,
that's how I work.
You don't have to.
You don't have to. The clients I like to work with are the ones that look at me and go, I don't trust what you're saying. And then we get into a conversation about why not? What am I doing that's making you not trust me? You know.
It's having that transparent conversation versus it being superficial and the hour's up.
Without getting too deep, because I don't want to. I want to make sure that
we're already there.
Yeah, I want to make sure. I want to make sure that we keep it on the straight part right here, so people will
focus on the podcast.
Focus so people can know exactly what this podcast is about. Tell me more about the EmoZen and how that transpired, because you had me on there, and I love it too.
Thank you.
And I like the fact that you was able to showcase an array of topics, and in a situation in an environment where everybody was able to voice their opinion in a harmonizing feel.
So I have a gift for listening, and I have a gift for helping people communicate. Like, I can understand what people are saying, even if they're not saying it where everybody else can understand it. So I have that. Let me just say this right now, because I'm working on self-compassion, and I brought this just so everybody can see that I'm real. I have a gift that was, I just said it, and I didn't feel guilty about it. Right? So there's part of what EmoZen is. EmoZen came about because so I don't know if people know this, trauma, your neocortex goes offline when you have trauma, and it gets stored in the fascia of your body. And that's why the mind-body connection for me, I do a lot of mind-body work. That connection for me is really, really big. And I went to a trauma treatment center about 7 years ago, and I stayed for a month. This is a voluntary thing. And I hope all therapists do voluntary things when they know they've got some things that are stuck, right? And the good ones that I know do. So it's not just me that does this, but there are very few that talk about it, right? And we had just done a sweat lodge. The place that I went to is called Integrative Life Center in Nashville, Tennessee. And we did acupuncture. We got massage. They made sure that we ate consistently. And that was one of the things that surprised me the most. Don't be surprised, Andre. Don't give me a side eye, Andre. I don't eat I don't eat well, and I don't eat regularly. I don't eat 3 meals a day. That's
well, and that's a problem, because how do you get your engine? You're not putting fuel to the engine.
No, and
right?
But say that again.
I said you're not putting fuel to the engine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is this is a thing for me, right? But the self-compassion part is all about feed yourself regularly. But I figured out if I eat an apple every 2 hours, or I have a hand of nuts every 2 hours, like I don't eat a lot. I can't eat a lot at one meal.
Right.
But you need to eat consistently.
And while I was there, and I had just done a sweat lodge at Integrative Life Center.
What's that?
A sweat lodge?
Yeah. We have viewers that are just sitting here going, what's she talking about?
If you all haven't experienced a sweat lodge, we need to do one. We need to create one.
Is it like a party?
If I had to guess, it's a lodge that's really hot.
And you sweat.
It is
like going in a sauna?
native. It's like, yes. but it's very sacred. It's a Native American way of healing. So what they do, like they will appoint a person to handle the fire because the fire carries the spirit, right? They carry the rocks. So they get these rocks hot enough to put in this lodge, but it's not really a lodge. I mean, it's authentic. They built it with sticks, put blankets over it, had the rocks in the center, and you guys go in and you sit there, and they keep putting rocks on there, and it is a sweat lodge.
And you sweat,
and
then what are you supposed to be doing while you're in there?
You sometimes, this is going to sound weird. I don't know how else to say it. Aha moment. That's what I'll say. I was going to say people have visions, but sometimes in there about where their pain comes from.
So this is a point of clarity is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
You can sit there and really get some clarity.
And it's a very classic Native American way of healing. The other thing that
I'm ready to go to the sweat lodge.
Well, we need to have one because I'm bringing some of that to EmoZen. I came out of a sweat lodge and I heard in my head, just like we were talking, create EmoZen.
Really?
Literally heard it.
Was this your first time ever doing a sweat lodge? The first time ever? Who referred you to that? Was it a
my
close
therapist.
friend? Your therapist? Now
And here's another thing I want to say. If y'all have a therapist that doesn't have their own therapist, listen to the word I'm using. Run the other way. I did not say walk. Run the other way.
Why is that?
Because if therapists don't do their own work, they project it all onto you. And it's their issue, not yours.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
Well, I'm sitting over here speechless, and that's rare. Okay, that's rare. Okay, this is very interesting because I do believe that. Just like I believe that, I'm a coach, but I have coaches.
Coaches
absolutely.
too.
Right. Yes.
Same
And
concept.
mentors too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. The same concept. You know what I mean? Because, we all are forever under construction.
Absolutely.
We're not done, and we have opportunities to improve ourselves, but we also have to navigate through the valleys, as well as the hills. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? And how do you be prepared for that? So that's exciting.
So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So I'm just so curious then. So where are you looking to take EmoZen? I love it, EmoZen. And EmoZen is what? Emotional Zen.
Which really, for people that don't quite get that and in a more traditional, it really means emotional sobriety. Like being able to hold it down when you want to stab somebody in the neck with a fork.
I've never quite felt that way. Let's see.
That's a little too deep for me, but I'm going to definitely tune in.
It was a joke, and don't tell me you never said it because I heard you.
Or maybe we didn't say stab him in the neck. We probably, I don't know, I cut. I don't know what you do. I cuts. I'm a cut you.
I don't do any.
I'm a cut you.
I'm a runner.
I'm just kidding.
I'm going to run.
I'm not.
This is the most
flight, right?
violent
Fight or flight.
Andre the Beast Crayton episode ever.
I have never hurt anybody, and I never will. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
no, we get it.
Totally
no.
kidding.
But that's interesting. So where do you see yourself going with this business? It sounds like you're really wanting to help other people do what? Other than stab people with a fork, when you really think about it.
Self-compassion, learning to say what I mean so people don't think, God, she's nuts. Right? They can think that, but not because I'm kidding, right? But where I hope to go with EmoZen is I'd like to eventually get a sponsor so that I can do this once a week because there's so much to talk about.
Yes.
What are some of the things to talk about? That's kind of curious. What are some of the things to talk about on EmoZen?
For instance, I have 2 clients that I'm very, very grateful for coming in this evening. I've worked with them for about a year and a half, and they're coming in, and we're going to go through some EmoZen stuff. We're going to actually look at one of the processes that we use. But I am very unorthodox, as you can tell, and working with therapy.
I sort of like it, though.
But I want
you
people
make it less scary. That's for sure. Because this is taboo.
Yeah.
For a lot of cultures. And,
And one of the things I just did, I didn't even tell. I haven't talked to you for a while. I took a 6-week intensive by the Rev Bridge Feltus for people racialized as white. And I learned so much about that because I have a diverse group of clients.
And you're going to share that on your show. We don't give all that away, but you're going to share that on your show, right?
Well, yeah, I would like Bridge to be on the show at some point, but yeah, anyway, yeah. It was fascinating and it was hard.
Yeah. So, but really, no matter what, you got to be willing to do the work.
You got it, and I'm doing so. Dismantling white privilege is one of the shows, I've done that.
Yeah.
We've had a couple that. Two of my favorite podcasts have been about talking about racism. That's something and it was great. It was a great conversation.
Why is it such a great conversation for you?
For me, because my melanin blessed friends were not afraid to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. They spoke truth. Y'all spoke truth in front of a white person holding. I mean, you could say, well, that was kind of racist. I had a conversation with E about is racism the same as, what did I say? The same as white privilege. Like, I was confused because I never wanted to consider myself racist, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, it's racism. And I was like,
There's different elements, right?
There are different elements.
You can be born into something, and then you can purposely act upon.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I get it.
There's the conscious and the unconscious.
Well, I was unconsciously racist. That's what I'm trying to say. That I learned through that. That I never would have thought that, but I bet you I cried 3 days when I realized that truth. Yeah.
Well, you know what? The breakthroughs are what matters, though. I mean, because I think for a lot of people, this has been a year of atoning, and there's no question about it. I have friends of very diverse backgrounds, and some of my white friends have basically just checked on me to see if I was okay, but to say, you know what, I've learned so much, I had no idea. Because again, if you don't walk in someone else's shoes, it is hard. And you know what I liken it to, and this is what people need to understand, is that it's not that we need to hold you accountable for what you don't know. What we're saying is, where's the empathy, the compassion, the listening to just understand what we've
your
been
experience
through.
is like.
And it's about the experiences. And, you know, I can remember when we started having mass shootings at schools, the world was terrified. Now, about 200 later, or just mass shootings in general later, guess what?
We're normalized.
We are normalized, and we're desensitized to it, which is a very similar response that you would expect someone not feeling what we feel, whether it's racial profiling, mistreatment, inequality, whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. It's not your thing. And so what I tell my black friends is that it's okay for it not to be other people's thing.
Yeah.
You know, I can't be mad at you because you didn't experience it. I can't be mad about that. But I think when there's an opportunity to see it in action, then that's when I'm mad if you're not saying something and speaking up.
Yes, because in the moment, the now, the flow, like we're talking about.
Because you could say I'm not racist, and that's not enough. I want you to be anti-racist.
And that's what I learned, to say anti-racist.
Anti-racist. So that means if you see something, you're willing to say something.
Yes.
That's so powerful.
Yes.
Yeah. But well, I'm proud that you're doing the work. I mean, this show is going to continue to be remarkable. I can only imagine.
Well, the other thing that I'm planning on doing is having a meditation once a week. A lot of time, Jason's girlfriend, Renee Merrifield, and I do meditations together. Then we're on, oh my gosh, it just, whoop, whoop, whoop.
It'll come back.
It'll come back, yes. It's, okay, I'm thinking about it too hard right now. But anyway, we have about 40 meditations we've done, and she plays and hums or sings in the background, and it's such a flow that it's almost like we planned it, but they're always all improv.
Wow.
On a lighter note, before we wrap up, you brought in this beautiful award. Explain this, and when did you get it, and give me some feedback on that real quick.
I got this award. It's a Marquise Who's Who publication board. Certifies that Krista Anderson has hereby been approved as a subject of biographical record in Who's Who in America. And I got it because the woman that I was speaking to, they do a big interview as they talk to you. And she made me cry, actually, some of the things she said, because she said at one point, I'm not even trying to make this racist. This is just what she said. She goes, I'm sure you can tell I'm black. I said, no, I actually can't. I can tell you're from New Jersey, but I cannot tell you're black.
Because we know you got that distinct accent.
But she said she had tears in her eyes, and I had tears in my eyes. And she said, I've never talked to someone as committed to dismantling white privilege as you have been. Aww. And it really, I'm not going to cry, but I feel it right now because it's a really powerful thing. Yeah. But the other things that I want to do that are different, these are just ideas. Like I'd like to have day-long therapy sessions once a month instead of 1 hour a week, because once you get it, and athletes in this room, there are a few of you. You know, once you get it, you got to drive it home. Just because you got it, you don't stop. You get it, you drive it home.
Information now, how do you get in action?
Yeah, and I would like to have day-long sessions like that, and then it could be more. It could be one person. It could be a group of people, depending on what they want. Yeah. I already take therapists. Some of them are, but I meant clients on therapy hikes. We'll walk and we'll notice, and I encourage them just to be quiet and look at the animals that they notice. And then we sit down and we look at the spiritual nature of animals and why did that animal show up for you. It's very, very Native American in addition to being I can be traditional. I've got all the modalities. I'm licensed. I know what I'm doing. But
so what makes you gravitate to the Native American?
Are you reading my mind?
I am. We've been together enough now.
Because,
oh my God, we act like an old couple.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, that was my question, but I'll let you roll with it.
Because they know the earth. And my granddaddy, my mom's dad, he was a farmer, and he used to use those willow sticks to find water. And he did other things like that too, besides the funny story that has nothing to do with this, but I have to tell you that my grandma also laid down and kicked a cow because she was running after my mom one time. That's my family.
She laid down and
my grandmother laid down and kicked a cow. Yes.
Speaking of your mom, your mom is here.
Yes.
Hi, Jason. Will the camera go around everywhere she's at? Let's say hi to your mom.
Hi, Mom.
Give me a minute here.
Tell me where she at. We're gonna put her on camera real quick.
Yeah, get her on camera. There she is. Oh.
I was gonna save this, and I'll do it again.
I can't quite get over there.
Are we done?
Oh, I'm on that one. Oh, hold on.
Somebody else is on camera.
Welcome, Big E.
Not the mom. Okay.
To the Big Easy.
Here we go.
Or she can just get up. Okay, she can just get up and walk over.
You can walk over here and stand by
that's
me.
He just passed her.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Okay.
There she is. Wave to
that. Hi, Mom. You can wave. Now say hi,
Yeah.
Mom.
Wave
Just
to that
wave.
Just wave. That's all you have to do.
Let
me tell you.
Wave. You're on camera.
So EmoZen is an offshoot of my mom saying, always have a dream, right? And so instead of having a dream, I manifested it. And I wanted to honor my mom because we've had some hard times and we've had some good times, but I want you to hear how wonderful my mom is.
And you're gonna say this on the Andre the Beast show for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm speechless, and I'm definitely proud.
My mom was a cheerleader. She was Miss Junior. She was the FFA sweetheart. She was a valedictorian. She worked. Sorry.
It's all right. Take your time.
She worked for GMAC for 37 years. She worked for Powertrain for 10 years. She worked for Saturn for 10 years for part-time. She taught, then she got bored and she taught crocheting and knitting at Michael's for 15 years.
Wonder if my mom was in one of her classes. Boy, she became a crochet
She was a
queen.
church pianist.
Okay.
And she was amazing. And she's always had a dream, and she passed that on to me.
Oh, nice.
That's really good. That's really good.
Mom, you were busy, honey.
I was busy.
Yeah. You did a whole lot in that lifetime.
Sorry about
Definitely.
that.
No, that's
all right.
okay. I mean, we only get one mom. You know, I lost my mom in August of last year. It's almost a year.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
to hear that.
So just love on her as much as you can, because I'm telling you, Andre.
Well, keep in mind, this comes after a 4-year hiatus.
Yeah.
Right, and we've healed that in the last 4 months.
God is good.
God is good.
The bottom line is that time is short, and we don't know the day nor the hour.
And kindness matters.
It absolutely does. So
You know,
that's a good note.
I appreciate you coming onto the show with your mom. I'd like to give a shout out to my boy Big E over there for coming in, listening to us talk crazy today.
Because you were on camera, whether you want to be or not. You was there.
He was on camera. But I know for sure that your show is going to take off. I'm blessed that you allowing the Andre the Beast Network to support you, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that people watch the show. I know it's going to uplift a lot of people. You definitely have uplifted me.
Yes.
Thank you so much for giving that shout out and that beautiful tribute to your mother.
Yes.
She didn't know I was going to do that.
She didn't. You didn't know that, did you? But I like to get ready to wrap this up by also saying a very special thanks to my co-host. Without you, this season has definitely taken off. You've definitely brought that power to the Andre the Beast show by keeping myself in that beast frame of mind, that beast. When I need something, you're always there. You're always like, hey, Dre, I got it. You got my back. I like that.
That's awesome.
Once again, thanks for being part of this family. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Hey,
Dre.
guys, make sure you tune in and watch
EmoZen
on. And hey, before I give any more shots out, I got to give shots out to my boy Jason behind the mic.
Yes.
You know, because I got to be real. Jason saw the potential in all this stuff, and he allowed us to come in here. He helped us orchestrate and put it together. So shots out, guys. Make sure you watch all the great podcasts under the Andre the Beast Network. You're going to shoot them out to me one more time so we get shots out to them.
EmoZen joining us. We're excited. 4th and 22. Walk me through that. Raising the Bar, the Badge, and the Kimberly Lacey Lightfoot Show.
Oh, on the
and
Andre,
then of course we have the one and only, the Andre the Beast Crayton show. Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Krista. This has been the
I'm
Andre
so honored. Thank
the
you,
Beast
guys.
Crayton show.